Japan, and I was a former executive director of Excellence Center, which is the knowledge center for luxury brands under the management of CPO Public Company Limited. And I have the privilege to be a generation of jewelry owners. My family background is in jewelry business. So it started like SME, like many of you here as well. And it's quite a journey, until we achieve having a brand, having a flagship store at Siam Paragons. Not only carry our own brands, but also have a privilege to carry various luxury brands from other countries, which I will elaborate more. And today, the topic is to unveil the secret behind luxury brands. And to start with, I would like to stress the importance of brand aesthetics and brand DNA. To achieve a recognizable brand, there are so many elements to achieve the successful brands. And as you can see, the surface of the brand is name, logo, brand identity, and packaging. This is the top of the iceberg. But to have a brand recognizable, there are so many more underneath the surface, which the companies, the organization need to achieve. Okay. So under the center, which I taught a lot about brand management, and I understand the challenges faced by the SME, how to build a brand. And I know many people here, already manufacturers, being OEM for various brands, or being manufacturer, the whole life, or haven't been establishing the brands. So it's quite challenging, but I think we can do it. You start with having a product, and some of you here are manufacturer or distributor, producing for other brands, not having your own brand. Now you start thinking about if you want to sell your product directly to the customer, you need distribution channels, how to make your product available to the markets. So that's the second step. Sometimes, over last sessions that I had taught SME on how to make the product available to the market. They said mostly they sell directly to the distributor, that you are not in direct contact with customer. But if you do what now, you need to make sure that you have the channel to communicate to directly to the customer. And then behind that, there's a lot of things going on, like organization and operational process, which keep all these three forward. And with this, you create perception to the market. So all this consistently, communications of products consistently, which I used to say that relevant and consistent, you will create perception to the market, which will make your product recognizable, and you have to manage identity. And of course, if you have some kind of innovations that make your products differentiate than other brands or other competitors, and being rapidly reactive, or today's world we talk about agility, adaptive, be able to adapt to the change of the market fast enough. With coherent and consistent communications, you will create perception to the market and act of purchase. So these are the key of how you build a brand that is recognizable. And of course, many of iconic brands that which we all know use these communications of consistent and coherence that make their products recognizable now. And what I want to talk today is the concept of luxury brands, which apply not only for jewelry brands but also other luxury brands as well. They have their DNA and code, which dictate everything they do. So that's what I taught as the smart jeweler class as well, that when you want to start a brand, you have to think deeply of what is your brand DNA and what could be a code that consumers can perceive and understand. So today I will give you some example. So now, can anyone guess which brand is this? Tiffany? I heard Tiffany. Why is that? Why you say Tiffany?
Six prongs.
Huh?
Six prongs.
6 prongs. And any other guess? It could be made by any suppliers,
The-
right?
The angle, maybe the angle and the lighting of the photo as well.
Yeah, okay. And since Thailand is, top in manufacturing jewelry, any manufacturer could produce this one. But yes, it is Tiffany. Yeah. So, comparing the cost of this ring to this ring, it's maybe 10 or 20 more times. Using the color, which is the brand code, or the logo of the brands, which make the products become added values to these products. What about this brand? Can you guess? I heard Chanel. Why is that? The camellia. Yeah, I saw some of my previous students, so you know the answer. But again, you see, I'm sorry about the. Okay. You see some of the brand iconic elements, which is the brand code, the camellia flowers, which used many times at Chanel. If you shop at Chanel before, when you finish shopping, they put the bags or the products in the box with some camellia on top of the box as well. Okay. So you see the logos of the brand so that make the products recognizable. What about your products? If your product doesn't have a recognizable brand yet, how do you make people know that they're wearing your jewelry from your brands? It's quite challenging. You cannot put a logos like Chanel's or any top brands, right? But you have to design your products that differentiate or have some iconic design. about this? Can you guess what brand is this?
บูการี
Bulgari, I heard. Any other brands?
แวนคลฟ
Van Cleef? Okay.
and Apple
You're not sure, yeah. That's a good example of that when the design is not distinguished enough. It's if I wear this ring that word 20 or 30 times more than the actual cost. I want people to know that I wear expensive ring. It's a branded jewelry. It's not like I custom made from any manufacturer, right? So that's the point of making your brands having iconic products. So this is Dior. But if you understand the essence of Dior brand, which associate with romanticism, flowers, you can kind of guess which brand is this. But again, sorry, please. The PowerPoint skip. ขอย้อนกลับไปได้ไหมคะครับ
อ๋อนี่มันนี่ไง
ย้อนอีกได้ไหมคะ
นี่เราเนี่ย
ขอทบทวนอันนี้นิดนึงมันมีแต่เดินหน้าหรือเปล่าถอยหลังนิดนึงอะไรนะฮะข้างบนอะไรนะข้างบนโอเคนี่เดินหน้าโอเค but then if you see these earrings it's quite obvious because they have logos right but then again now many luxury brands moving toward fine jewelry. They don't just sell costume jewelry anymore because fine jewelry is a big market. Now they want to do the hard luxury, which is last longer and branded jewelry also. If you want to resell, it's easier to resell than unbranded jewelry. Okay. And what about this? Can you guess which brands are these rings? Anyone that is obvious from the others?
เดอร์เบีย
Anyone that more obvious than the others?
อะไร
Maybe not really, right? Anyone in this room may be able to produce this kind of ring with the design, right?
เทียคาเทีย
They are branded jewelry, And why everyone and why customer has to pay extra money to have the branded diamond earrings? Because they are many more than just the value of the products, right? They are branded. They have emotional connections, and also, it's believed that if you buy branded jewelry, when you want to resell, it can be easier to resell than unbranded jewelry. And I guess this one is quite obvious. Can you guess the brand? Van Cleef and Apple. And anyone know the story of the brands? Why it's the Alhambra collection is from? Today I will talk about how the brand has created that DNAs, and many of the brand has that inspiration from country of origin, from the places that the designer went to, or from the character of the designers. And this is one of the inspiration underneath the Alhambra collection, which is Alhambra Palace in Spain. And they use the shape of the architectures to design the famous Alhambra collections, which you can see many ladies this day, it's become iconic. And that's your goal for building a brand. You want people to recognize your brand just by seeing the designs and not having to see the logo underneath the rings or the logo tag. You have to create design that is recognizable and people can perceive your brand. Let's look at the story of Alhambra collections. Click her. Click video. And if the Alhambra collections is designed under the inspirations of the four-leaf clover, which people believe of its meaning to give luck, love, and fortune. And this is one example of Van Cleef & Arpels that they have so many iconic designs. This is one of them. And I have been saying this also, that when you have a story, inspiration of the brands, and of designs, it needs to tell. You need one of the elements of emotional branding is storytelling. So it's nice that you have the inspiration of the brand and put it in a story that people can understand. So the making of Alhambra collections has been over 30, 40 years, but people still wearing this iconic design, and it's lasts over time. It's never get old, right? Okay, I would like to skip the video set. So what really differentiates luxury brands from FMCG or fast-moving consumer goods product is the brand identity and brand codes, which is the foundation of brand building. So I'd like everyone to think about your DNA or brand DNA that have to be unique. I heard so many times when entrepreneurs thought about that DNA and they said, good quality, nice design, craftsmanship, that's too generic. So to have brand DNA, you have to find something that unique and differentiate enough. And there are so many, factors underneath the brand DNA that you need to manage. Under DNA, you can also talk about origins of the brands. Now, many top branded jewelries are mostly from France or Italy, a few from USA. they talk about their brand origin and heritage. So Thai brands, also other brands can talk about your origins, inspirations of the founders, and culture as well. And most luxury brands have strong heritage and deep cultural foundations. I saw so many pieces here of the showcase that use some of the Thai culture elements to elaborate about its brand DNA, using about the conspicuous consumptions of like spiritual and God and Thai God to use in their designs, or some elements of what Thai people believe, the flowers that associate with Thai culture or countries as a design. So that can be part of their brand element as well. And most of the brand not born luxury. So they start to build the brands and continue with their coherent and relevant communications that create a brand perception to be a luxury brand. And just want to give you some idea of how to find source of your DNA. Giving an example of Chanel brands. They use the founder, and I heard some of the entrepreneurs that, okay, you are the designer and you may want yourself as an inspiration or source of DNA. Who you are a kind of person who travel a lot, see so many places. So you found inspiration from architectures from over the world, for example. Or you can use the era when the brand was born. Like Chanel is under the French Revolutions, where women start to go out more and work outside home, not a housewife anymore. So Chanel create a brand that's modernized the way women wear in the past. That's the era that she was born. So you can talk about the eras that you were born. That some of the entrepreneurs talk about the brand that is in 80s or in 90s, or you want to talk about the brand that is 21st century. So use that as a DNA source. Or the location and place of origins. So many of the French brands talk about Place Vendôme, or the first flagships under in Paris. So that can be a source of inspiration as well. And there's some Thai brand that start with Ban Mall and now continue to have shops at Central Embassy or Siam Paragons, but they still talk about the origin of their brand, the location where it started, which can be Yawarat or any other place of of your brand, can be the source of DNA. And many also talk about the art of creations and savoir-faire, which is like their own unique. So many French brands also talk about their technique, spatial technique. If you can see some of the pieces on the back, they have like a spinning wheel technique that they said, oh, this is their own very special technique. So that can be kind of source of DNA as well. And some brands also talk about their original customer. Use your customer as a reflection of how consumers see your brand is. Yeah, like with some of the brands I talk about, your brand has very romantic or nice design that's quite feminine, or some of the design that modern or minimal. So that can be your source of DNA as well. And if you want to build a product that is recognizable, you go back to your source of DNA to create the new one. So like Chanel, when they want to have their fine jewelry line, they use their DNA, which is associated back to Coco Chanel, the founder of the brand, which was born in the Leo sign. So many of her design is under the lion design that which go back to the founder of the brand. So you can use that as your sort of DNA. Now you understand why it has to be lions, because she was born in the month that associate with Leo sign. And now, because we will talk about many iconic brands that start over 100 years ago, so you would think that, oh, if you want to start your brand now, can it happen? Yes. So if your brand is culturally innovative enough, you can establish the luxury brand in this 21st century. So it has to be, I talk a lot about the brand being culturally innovative. So find something that innovates under the current situations. Give you an example like Shanghai Tang, but I'm not sure that it's still popular among customers. But the reason that I mention this brand because it's the Chinese brand that established the brand good enough that Richmond Group would like to acquire the brand. So this can be a good case study for your brand, that depending whether you're Thai or other countries. If you build a really good brand, many top luxury brands would like to acquire your brand to localize, to use your expertise understanding the market to penetrate the market. So this is an example of Shanghai Tang that use Chinese culture and design a product that modernized enough to become one of the top of mind brands in Shanghai. They modernized the Chinese culture, and so many Chinese brands are so doing the same. So you can use this example to modernize or bring part of your culture, your origin of country to bring the brand as a source of DNA. And this is another case of Shangxia, which is the brand under Hermes Group, but want to penetrate to the Chinese customer. So they create a line that specifically distribute or available in China. So talking about brand DNA, so it's not just have to be unique and differentiate. You have to find sources from your true self, whether it's your origins, the founders, or heritage. And this DNA dictates everything the brand should do, whether it's brand extension, communication, or how to use brand ambassador or spokesperson or faces of the brands. So many brands which extend beyond the original of the brands, like Van Cleef & Arpels. I will give you an example. Not only sell jewelry, now watches, now perfume. If you want to do that, you go back to your roots or your DNA to find inspiration or source of design. And how to find reinforce a luxury brand DNA. Like I said before, the founder, the place of birth, the time, the culture. Less generic features are better. So just find one combination that is differentiated. because otherwise your brand will be similar to other brands available in the market. And special and differentiate enough, and you can share one or two combinations of the brands, but together, you are differentiate. And from DNA to brand code, brand codes are the visual expression of the brand. So, if you're not studying the brand before, you may not know what is the brand DNA. It's not usually advertised or talked about in the magazine or portrayed in any articles. It's kind of a trade secret or something that you keep for yourself. But when you want to express this DNA for customer to perceive, you use it visually, like by design, by packaging, by the color, by how you decorate your stores. So that can be brand codes. And the brand code can change and progress over time, but DNA cannot. So if you set DNA for your brands, like three combos, like romanticism, fairy tale, or this kind of DNA elements, it should not be changed. But then for visual expression, it can change over time. And these are linked with physical attributes of the brand and of aesthetics. So I would like to give you another example of iconic brands. In this video, you will see many iconic designs or codes of the brands. And try to think what is Cartier's brand DNA. This is a video. จะมีเสียง Feel free to note or let me know what you think of this brand's code. What do you see? Pattern, Trinity rings. Places. You see the place, the location of the brands. Iconic products. Mythical, power. Sandals, the watch, the wristwatch that was first created. Romantic numbers in watch, which is the brand codes of Cartier. And the red box. So I like to show these videos because it portrays many elements of these luxury brands. Not only express the DNA, when I mention it, is power, reference, audacity, generosity, loyalty, heritage. This is Cartier DNA. So if I didn't tell you today, maybe it's hard to perceive all these elements. And this is the DNA that, most customers do not know. But what customers know and see is usually the brand code, which is easier to digest or easier to perceive. And you see the red color, the red box. You see the panther running from places to place. You see Santos watch, which is the iconic or the iconic watch that claimed to be the first wristwatch for human, because when the pilot want to fly the first airplane, they want to see time. So Cartier create the watch, which is called Santos watch. In the videos, you see Tank, which is one of the iconic watch as well. Pasha watch, Trinity rings, Love bracelet, double C, Roman numbers. And if you want to buy Cartier watch, you should buy Roman numbers watch, not the number watch, because that's the brand's iconic design. And then number 3, because the brand associated with 3 suns, 3 countries, so that's why you see Trinity rings, or many of the brands use 3 as a symbol of their brand codes. Okay, red colors, which is decorate their store. And when I said the brand DNA and code dictate everything that can easily use in your communication in the future, like the background of your design, the color of advertisement, and now people use a lot of social media. I talk a lot about the color. If you want the brand to be recognizable, you need to use consistent color to make people remember your brand. I will skip this, but then again, so Cartier talk about wild animals. In the videos, you saw elephants, dragons, the animals that associated with some kind of power. You saw peacocks. So that's what the brand want to communicate of the powerful animals. And also panther is one of the iconic designs. So you see a lot of panthers in their designs. And this is one of the popular collections of Cartier. And I think you see this, Roman numbers in Santos, Tank, and Pasha, which these 3 are iconic watches under Cartier. Okay. You saw Trinity rings, Love, and double C. This is the brand code. And if you saw any of these pieces on somebody's, obviously it's Cartier. So that's the goal of your brand, to make people recognize your design. Okay, and when I say slide 3, number 3, because the brand, associated with 3 countries, French, England, and USA, and also the son of Cartier also visited all these 3 countries. It associated with the kings of the emperor, or the jewel of the kings of various countries as well. And you see this plane in the video as well, because it's the origin of the start of the which was under Cartier. ไปข้างหน้าค่ะขอไปข้างหน้าค่ะ
ไปถอยหลังไม่ได้ไปหรอกเอามาเอาเลย
เดี๋ยวเราข้ามอันนี้ไปนะคะแล้วก็อย่าง sorry okay so you can see in various flagship of Cartiers there's 3 countries flags and also Trinity rings, so they usually associate with the 3 numbers. Now, moving on to other brands that try to use their source of DNA to design their jewelry lines. So if you know Versace, their iconic design is like this texture or architects. So they try to put that in the design. Yeah. And again, to make a brand that has iconic design, it takes time. You need to be consistent and continue to communicate to make that recognizable in the mind of consumers. Louis Vuitton, everyone trying to tap into the fine jewelry markets, obviously luxury brand, because it's the area that is having high margin. And of course, that jewelry can keep forever. Kind of forever. It's not like clothing or soft line that, clothing you need to expose or trash it after the end of the season. But jewelry still continue its value. Louis Vuitton create their jewelry lines and use part of their brand code to design. They even have the diamonds that cut in the shape of the LV code. Okay, Dior, we mentioned that it's associated with romanticism. Hermes, fine jewelry line, of course, they have to use something that associated with Escratian, which is the horse riding culture. Or Gucci, if they design the brand with logos, it's obviously, recognizable. But if they want to tap into the fine jewelry market, they have to find something that make people know that it's Gucci. Otherwise, people won't pay the markup for the brand. So now moving on to the example of Hermes brand DNA and codes. Can anyone guess what would be Hermes DNA? Horse, I heard, which could be under the codes. Anything else? Orange, which is the brand code as well. It's something that you see. Anything else? Horse shoes that under the coat as well, something that you see as a design of the brand. Can anyone guess the DNA of Hermes? It's like their true self that, that's, it's an inspiration behind all the code that you see. Anything? Okay, let me give you. In Christian culture, I heard you say horse. Yeah, because the back for Hermes, it started off being a horse shop for horse rider, right? So they associate a lot about horse, and in Christian culture, you see orange box, brown ribbons, with horse, of course, calache, which is the kind of a saddle that you sit on the horse, hand, feet, the H, time and season. And also another DNA of Hermes is the travel. You can see many of their advertising using the travel from places to places, and also talking about unconventional and high quality of the products and sense of humor. And many of the product universe you see here, as I mentioned before, you use the DNA of the brand to extend your products to other areas. Not only they sell bags, they sell many other things like watches and jewelry, but again, you see that they use horse as the jewelry design, or maybe part of the scarf, or everything they use the DNA. Here you see in almost every advertising of Hermes, they put the brand code so that it makes people recognizable. Now, when you see orange bar, it's associated with Hermes, horses, whip, and I mentioned hand and feet, and you can see hands, and this is kind of a sense of humor that the brand has. Season, the brand talk about winter, spring, summer, and various places. The brown ribbons, the whip, sense of humor, and you see hand, feet, they kind of like not too serious about the brand when they put the advertising. The season, this is snow, winter. The brand universe has scarf, bags, jewelry. See, they have very season in their advertising as well. It's like Alice in Wonderland. Feed. So if you see the archive of advertising of Hermes, you can now understand what is the brand DNA and brand code. And season, moving from one season to another season. And as mentioned before, that DNA dictates everything, and relevance of product and brand extension. Talking about Van Cleef & Arpels, if you see this kind of advertisement, what would you guess of Van Cleef & Arpels DNA? Floral? You said floral?
Like
Yeah.
nature, flora.
Yes. And other guess? It's totally different than Hermes and Cartier, right? Because they have different DNA. So all the brands use their DNA to communicate, to make people know what their brand is all about. So when Cleef & Arpels talking about art and creativity, beauty and femininity, mysterious, romance and poetry, fairy tale and legends. because this unique combination is not the same with other jewelry brands or other luxury brands. They can design or have something that's different than other brands. Under Van Cleef & Arpels, there are various product line. They have high jewelry line, which comprise about 18% of the total sales. They have these iconic mistress setting. Creative jewelry comprise of 26% of the brands, and also more affordable, accessible jewelry line like Alhambra that we talk about, or other iconic designs. Now the brand would like to extend to watches and fragrance. What would be Van Cleef & Arpels design? Let's look at the Poetic watch, which is the brand's iconic watch pieces. นี่ลองเป็นวิดีโอนะ So now that you understand Van Cleef's DNA, let's talk about fairy tales, poetry. The origin of the brand, which is in France, and many story of the brands also in the design of the watch. So they have poetic wish complications. And you know, if Van Cleef would like to compete in the watch market, they are not watchmaker. They cannot compete with Patek Philippe or other brands that are watchmaker. So they are jewelry watch. So they use their DNA in the design of the watch so that the watch becomes special and not like other brands. So what's special about these watches is that ladies and gentlemen are moved closer every hour. And when it's noon or midnight, both couple kisses in the middle and separate apart. So it's not like Van Cleef doesn't have unique innovation in their products, but they rather use their DNA, which is poetic, mysterious in their design. So lastly, I would like to talk about the Chinese brand, which is called Qilin. Anyone from China or know this brand before? No? Okay. Anyone with Chinese heritage? Few? Okay. So this brand is associated with Chinese culture. And like I said, your brand doesn't have to establish 100 years ago to become a luxury brand. So this brand started in Hong Kong, by the designer called Dennis Chan. The brand used Chinese culture, which is the source of DNA, to design their products and modernize what Chinese people believe in their designs. Now the brand is under the management of the same group as Gucci, Balenciaga, and other luxury brands. So your brand can do the same if you bring your unique DNA and design your products. The brand become available, in many countries, and its target key consumer with Chinese heritage. It used source of inspiration from East meets West, surprising and meaningful design and state-of-the-art craftsmanship. Okay, so today we talk about Cartier, some of the brands here which use Western inspirations. Now Qilin want to tap into the market of Asian inspirations, which you can all do the same as well. Use some iconic elements of what Asian people believe, like panda is kind of the Asian animals, or what would Asian consumer believe as a design. So it's under caring groups, as I said before. Under this group also have some jewelry brands like Boucheron, which has some lines, and also it's also a watch store, or Pomellato, or Dodo, which is the brand of kids. Okay. The brand vision is one to build Qilin as international brands which use Chinese identity and inspirations. The origin of the brand is from China, and they use like ulu, which is the sort of which Chinese people believe as prosperity, or bring good luck, or panda, which is the Asian animals. They have designed their products. Inspiration of you may recognize this symbol, lucky number, and these fruits, and have inspiration in their design. Bobo collection is about panda, exclusively in China. So again, the brand use their DNA and code in their design, so that makes the products recognizable. So the DNA of the brand is precious, peace and lovable, friendship, collectible, and playful. They use red also as a color. So that iconic brands that the secrets behind that design and recognizable products. So with that, I give you some Western example and Asian example as well. And I hope to start with the takeaway from today is that you go back and think about your brand DNA. And I give you example of where to find sources of DNA, whether it could be your origin, countries, yourself, or your unique craftsmanship. You can use that as the DNA and portrays in the code that make people see and recognize your brand. And remember, it has to be coherent and consistent to make the brand recognizable. With that, thank you so much for today, and I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you.